Hi guys, hello and welcome to Jazz Across the Pond. Jazz interviews reimagined, a brand new and a very exciting bringing together of two great nations. Is jazz talking like you've never seen or heard it before? Now let's bring on my partner in crime. So there he is, my partner in crime. How you doing, monsieur?
I'm doing very well, Roger. How are you?
Absolutely fab. Better for seeing you.
Oh, well, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
So a very good evening to Jazz Across the Pond and a warm welcome from me, Roger Lee, aka the Jazz Cat.
And I'm Kevin Goolsby, and they call me Mr. G.
Mr. G, the G to my 7.
The G to your 7. Roger, if you would share with our audience exactly what the G7 represents.
Well, it's on the topic of everyone who lives here in England. The G7 has been featured in the last few days in Cornwall, a lovely county. It's literally 100 miles away from here in little St. Ives. I don't think St. Ives knew what the heck had happened. And anyway, the 7 great leaders of the world met there and tried to put the world to right. And yeah, absolutely fabulous. And it's been all over our news, a very proud moment. And then the US president got his, there was 18 cars, police cars with him.
Oh,
there was something like 6,500 police force for security reasons and that. And anyway, the world is going to be a better place now. They've had the G7. The world is going to be a better place.
Well, actually, with all due respect, Roger, that's not correct. It's not the G7. The name is the Mr. G7.
Oh,
that's right. No, that's right. It's the Mr. G7, and that 7 is comprised of my 7 grandchildren. So there you are. No, but obviously we're excited about the G7, and I hope you're right that the world will be a better place because of it. But we shall see.
They tackled 3 things, didn't they? Basically, coronavirus, the looking at the world and what's happening with pollution and all the rest of it, and the economy, and a load of host of things. But I mean, the one question which they asked a lot of people, they were going, so which countries are actually represented in the G7? And that is a good question. If you ever get asked that one, and if for our followers, we're now going, scrambling around going, oh yeah, I think I know, I'll put you out of your misery. Because basically it's an international government political forum consisting of Canada, France, Germany, Italy, which surprises a lot of people, Japan, the United Kingdom, and the United States of America.
A big one.
Yeah.
But not to get too political, but golly, wow, I mean, Russia's not a member?
Nope. Or China.
China's not a member?
Nope. They must have missed the invite. Well, that would have made it the G9.
And for good reason. Doesn't have the same ring, but for a good reason they're not there. So.
Anyway, listen, let's get back to the show. We're going on a tangent there, aren't we? Listen, what do you think about last week's wonderful interview with Darryl Williams?
I'll tell you what, when you discussed with Darryl the incredible list of musicians that he's performed and or recorded with, after his debut project, that was then back in 2007. Then he came right back with that incredible list on his second project, Here to Stay, in 2017. And he had the likes of Huge Groove. He had Michael Lincoln, Jeff Lorber, Paul Brown, who's going to be with us soon on Jazz Across the Pond, Marcus Anderson, Jonathan Fritzen, Elin Trotman, Greg Manning, Michael Paulo, Scott Wilkie. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, Here to Stay is here to stay.
It truly is here to stay. We featured 3 tracks from the album last week, and Darryl was lovely. He was so good, and he chatted to us on that, and he was just like all the people we've interviewed. They're so friendly, and they just tell us, and they like our little research team, and they like to see what we come up with, and wonderful, great interview. So usual place where you can watch it.
Well, YouTube, but the other thing about Darryl was with that little follow-up email he sent us about getting his second COVID injection the night before, and he was struggling a little bit, but he was concerned about how it was going to affect the show if we had to reschedule. And that just shows you what kind of person he was. He'd rather go through with it, just a little under the weather, than disrupt our schedule. So, nice guy.
A total professional.
Absolutely. But this week.
Well, that was
This
last week, which people can
Yes.
revisit along with a host of other great interviews. They're all there available on Jazz Across the Pond, and they're on YouTube. Just go on, tap onto any one of them. There are some fabulous interviews. But talking about interviews, tonight we go from California. We're heading all the way now. And the lovely lady is sitting in there very patient in our green room. She's sitting there all the way from sunny Florida. And we've managed to get her away from the beach and piano playing and that to come and join us. And she is so happy to be joining us. And we're very, very proud and pleased to invite her to join us as well.
Well, let's get Lisa on board. Let's go.
Let's go with it. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to play a track from this lady's artist, Lisa Addeo. And I'd tell you something, she's got 8 albums out. This is the most frequent one, or the most recent one, and it's called Listen to This. And we're going to actually play the title track called Listen to This, and literally says it all. Ladies and gentlemen, listen to this. We'll be back with Lisa in a few moments' time.
Hey, this is smooth jazz pianist Lisa Addeo from sunny South Florida. You're watching me on Jazz Across the Pond with the Jazz Cat and Mr. G. I hope you're digging it as much as I am.
We've just been listening to the most wonderful track. It's called Listen to This. It's the title track from our featured artist tonight. And we're going to be chatting to this wonderful lady. What can we say about this, our special guest this evening? Our featured guest has been described as a world-class musician. Her music is tenderly intimate, a joy to listen to. Her fans have commented that this music that comes from the heart with soul. Prepare, ladies and gentlemen, lovers, followers of Jazz Across the Pond, prepare to fall in love with the lady herself all the way from sunny Florida. It's the lovely, it's the wonderful, and she's looking delectable tonight, I must say. The most wonderful Lisa Addeo. Good evening. Good afternoon.
Hi guys, how are you?
Good, Lisa. How are you?
Excited to be here.
We are too.
We've been talking about this interview for a while, haven't we?
Yeah, you guys are as busy as I am, so it's all good.
Excellent. Well, we've got so much to get through. I hope you appreciate I've got my Floridian shirt on.
I was noticing that. All you need is a palm tree in the background, but you know, I got one of those out here for you.
And I've got the palm trees.
trees.
I got the Bahamian look. So,
Styling and profiling. I love it. Thank you. What do I have on? I have on pearls for the royal family. So
there you go.
Well, there we go. Right, okay. So Lisa, let's see if our researchers are doing. They're pretty good. They scurry along and they do their little research and that, and they come back to us each week and they go, okay, guys, here's the information you need, and away we go. So let's see if this is right. You started playing the piano at a tender age of 6. You began performing to the general public at the age of 9. You then went on to earn a degree at the composing for the Groove School of Music in Los Angeles. Now I know you're a massive Joe Sample, a big influence of Joe Sample, piano playing. Now, in my Den of Iniquity, I have a whole column there just made dedicated. And my claim to fame is I went to see him. I mean, he's no longer with us now, sadly now. I went to see him several years ago when he was with his trio and there was Randy Crawford, all the rest of it. And he liked my shirt, my subtle shirt. And as he went, I was on the front row. And as he went by, he shook my hand.
Wow. You
He's
haven't
never
watched
watched
my hand since, right?
No,
That's
of course
right.
I haven't, no.
He hasn't.
So there we are. Lisa, please tell us more about your childhood, your introduction to jazz music, and that first time you sat at the piano. Tell us more about it, please.
Wow, my introduction to jazz music, I think, was through the Great American Songbook, because those melodies are so beautiful. And I mean, they're really jazz standards. They call them standards, but you know, it's not real outside jazz. It's, I call it kind of palatable and negotiable jazz, you know, where people can kind of follow along and hum along once they hear the song a couple of times. So I always loved that music. I grew up, my mom and dad listening to Sinatra and the Rat Pack, and you know, I'm a lover of that kind of music. I remember hearing Joe Sample when I was, you know, a teenager, and Ronnie Lawson, and it was like unbelievable. There, just how the sparkly piano over these beautiful grooves, and I thought I want to do that. And I was, you know, learning piano, and my older sister was taking, so I would learn her lesson. And then I would learn my lesson because the teacher, she was older. So my teacher gave her very sophisticated pieces. And I kind of, you know, didn't like that. So I would learn my lesson, and I'd go in and have her lesson memorized, and I'd get in trouble for that. So, so that was kind of, that was my second teacher. My first teacher looked like my dolls that I used to play with. So I always wanted to do well for her. So then, you know, I had friends and I said, I love this, listen to this. And I would bring music to friends and, you know, and play it for them. And they would say, well, can't you do that? And I'm like, I think I can, I'm not sure. So yeah, so I got introduced, you know, my ear always kind of, you know, how you gravitate towards things that you love. So I just kind of was drawn to that. And now that I've done that with Listen to This, CD, I'm just so excited, and it's being embraced by the smooth jazz community. I'm so grateful for everybody, you know, reaching out to me. I've become friends with a lot of the artists, and it's just, it's a really, you know, it's a fun crew that I'm hanging out with. So I'm just pleased as punch that everything is going so well.
Well, Lisa, first of all, again, welcome to the show, and congratulations on the incredible run you've been having on the jazz charts with Listen to This. As you know, I'm a I'd like to follow the charts, and not that I'm getting tired of talking about how many times you're on the charts, but I mean, but most folks.
Get old, does it, Kevin?
Well, I can say your name right, but as most folks have already discovered, you're a talented pianist, an accomplished singer, and a gifted songwriter. And as such, your body of work spans multiple genres, including not only, vocal pop, but contemporary jazz as well. You've released 12 projects and you've recorded well over 100 songs. But what I find fascinating, though, is your first full-length debut project released in 1997, obviously when you were 6.
I love you.
Right? It was a tribute to the late, great Mr. Frank Sinatra titled In a Heartbeat. Now, granted, Sinatra was one of this country's most popular and influential music artists of the 20th century and one of the best-selling music artists of all time, having sold more than 150 million records worldwide. So I've got 2 quick questions for you.
Sure.
The first one is, why a tribute project to Sinatra as your debut album? And then second, do you have any idea if Frank heard your project prior to his death the following summer in 1998? Obviously, he could have heard it. I don't know whether whether he did or not, but that was just a curiosity question.
That's a really good question. Let me answer the last question first. So I don't know, but over here we have Sirius XM. I'm sure you're familiar with that.
Absolutely.
And they have a channel called Seriously Sinatra, which I submitted to, I don't know how, over years and years and years. Finally, they start playing my songs. They play about 26 of my songs. I think they play 12 of those 13 songs. So I would love to email the powers that be and ask if by chance he did hear that. I don't know. I would, wow, I don't know. I don't even know if I want to know the answer. I just.
Well, but how uncanny that you would do a tribute project the year before he passes.
Gosh, Kevin, I've never thought of that. That's really, yeah, you're exactly right. And
makes you wonder if all that time listening with your parents, if there wasn't something that spoke to you that said, I need to do it now. And maybe it was because,
Yes. And I think that's very true. And I had a lot of gigs, I was always playing out live. And I noticed when I played those songs, people just loved them and they melted and they sang along. And, if they didn't know what song it was, they would come up. I mean, I got a lot of requests for Gershwin Cole Porter. I mean, some of those melodies, it doesn't get better than that. And
well, maybe Jerome Kern, but
him too, a whole gamut, So so I kind of resonated with that because it was a lot more familiar than a lot of Joe Sample's stuff or Dave Grusin's or the kind of straight ahead jazz that was a little more obscure. But gosh, I've never thought of that. How interesting. Thanks for picking that up.
You're welcome.
So following on with the mix of covers, original songs, and instrumental collections, such as the 2012 Whispering Souls. In 2020, you went all the way to #1 on the Billboard Smooth Jazz chart with the fabulous album and the track Listen to This, the title track from your 8th studio album. Now, a 2-part question, very quickly. Can you remember where you were and what you were doing the first time you listened to a radio and you heard one of your songs being played on the radio?
Absolutely.
Okay, and the second part of the question is, how does this album differ from your previous albums?
Okay, so the first time I heard myself on the radio, I was in Scottsdale, Arizona, and I had sent my stuff to a radio station there. And, I would always have my songs Bluetoothed or playing through my car. So I'm driving down the road, I heard my song, I thought, oh, okay, that's my song. And I looked down and it was the radio station. I was like, so it was amazing. And that happened the very first time I ever got played on Seriously Sinatra. I heard it coming back from the grocery store. So I'm driving back and I look, oh, that's, You Don't Know What Love Is. You don't know what love is. I thought, oh, that's my song. And I looked down and I saw, Sinatra's logo. I slammed on the brakes. My bananas went flying. I went over on the side. I was taking pictures of the dashboard. It was really exciting. So yes, I remember that. And the second question, what was the second question?
The second question was, how does this album differ from your previous 7 albums?
It's fulfilled, I think, a huge dream that the other ones didn't. And like I said earlier with Joe Sample, it's that sparkly, bright piano, melodic piano over some really sizzling grooves. So Niels Jitner, guitarist Niels helped me do that, and Adam Hawley on one track. So I feel like I've rounded out, what I've wanted to accomplish musically over the years.
Exactly.
Picking up very good,
Well,
I know Kevin's got a jump in question. There was a great interview with the late great Addeo, and he said the reason he loved using Joe Sample, because Joe Sample knew exactly, they called him Mr. Love. He knew exactly just how the chords and the piano notes, and never went over the top and going up and down and the rest of it. He just used the minimum amount of notes, but they were just right and absolutely smack on. And I went, so true. You can listen to a Joe Sample on anybody's album, you can pinpoint it within seconds.
It's tasty, very tasty, flavorful. And I mean, Frank Sinatra used Bill Miller, and when he used other pianists, he said they were too busy. So yeah, you need to complement, the singer. I studied with Paul T. Smith, who was Ella's accompanist, and he was an amazing accompanist. And he said, accompanying is a totally different bag than being a solo piano. And it's true. I mean, when I accompany myself, I play differently than I do, for an instrumental. So.
Right.
Well, Lisa, you've already mentioned you've got 7 of your 12 CDs featured on 4 of Sirius XM's channels. You're on Watercolors. We've already talked about being on Seriously Sinatra, Escape, and Holiday Traditions. And your songs are also frequently played on Music Choice's Smooth Jazz channel. So definitely those are feathers in your cap. But your most recent project, listen to this, was, and we talked about that already too, but produced by the outstanding smooth jazz guitarist Nils, and also features Nils on guitar, Adam Hawley on guitar, Jeff Ryan on sax, we love Jeff, Steve Cole on sax, Johnny Britt on trumpet, and I think Darrell Williams has played bass on a song or two. Mm-hmm. But if you would please tell us, how did you meet Nils? How was it working with his production team and that amazing lineup of world-class musicians you have on Listen to This?
I met Nils because I heard a song on the radio that I loved, and I thought, I really like the groove of this. I like there was percussion, and I wanted to work with him. I thought, how do I get in touch with him? So I kept searching and searching. At first, I had to find out who produced it, and then I did. And then I thought, I've got to figure out how to contact him. And I didn't reach out immediately. I kind of walked around thinking about how to approach this, superstar in the smooth jazz format, and what songs, he would want to hear songs, and I just write songs all the time, and which ones I would send him. And so I reached out, and he answered the phone. I was like, hi. I was waiting to call him, and I figured I would leave a voicemail, and he answered, and I went, Nils, you don't know me, but I'm a big fan of yours. I start researching him and listening to his music. And of course, Pacific Coast Highway, that huge hit he had.
Oh, yeah.
And I said, I'm a huge fan. And I was wondering if you would work with me. And he said, well, send me your stuff. And I did. And he immediately, called and said, yes, you have a lot of songs here that have a lot of potential. And I said, well, let's do that. So we did, under no pressure. I was just grooving along. I think I brought him Never Enough, and I brought him, I can't remember. And then we ended up actually writing a few songs from scratch. The album was getting ready to come out because we released Never Enough, then we released Listen to This, and the album needed to come out because it was starting to get traction. And I said, well, I'm not done. So I sat down, and I think I wrote Hold, Love, Kiss and So Much in like 2 days. And so we produced it, and the album was just about to come out. And I got in touch with Adam Hawley, and I said, if we have 4 minutes, we should try to write a song together. He was like, yeah, what about this? I'm like, yeah, let me write a melody to that. And yeah, listen. And like 2 weeks later, swear, that was 2 weeks, High Heels was born. And then bam, the record came out. And so we started off slow, and then at the end, it was, it was fun. It was a real fun experience.
Well, that brings us very neatly on to, we're going to take a quick interlude now on this interview, as we're going to actually play that track. We're going to play High Heels featuring the wonderful Jeff Ryan. Have a listen to this. It's from the fabulous, and I do use the word fabulous. I love this album, and I know Kevin does as well.
Oh, thanks.
It's called Listen to This. We're playing High Heels, and we'll be straight back with Jazz Across the Pond and continue this wonderful conversation with the wonderful Lisa. Stay with us.
Welcome back to Jazz Across the Pond, Jazz Interviews Reimagined with the Jazz Cat and Mr. G. You just heard High Heels featuring Jeff Ryan on sax from the fantastic project Listen to This by today's featured artist, the lovely and equally talented Ms. Lisa Addeo. Roger?
Thank you. From intimate summer clubs to Radio City Music Hall, the every type venue across the US and Europe, Lisa Music touches audiences of all sizes. She adores playing live, and her music fills the room, the audience, which fills their heart. A simple question, studio or live? What do you prefer?
That's a tough one. I love my audiences. I think I'd have to go with live. I'd have to go with live. And then I can go into the studio and be quiet and carve something up for them. So then I can go, it's all about getting in front of my peeps and, you know, people grooving and smiling and moving and singing along and dancing along. So it's all about the audience for me. Because
well, I'm really pleased you answered that way, because that leads me on very, very nicely to your wonderful show, your live show, One Girl with 88 Keys.
Yeah, this thing's a beast. So it's like me taming it. I feel like David and Goliath sometime. And, you know, I do. It's like, wow. So yeah, we dance hard sometimes. And I just, you know, I'm doing the live show. Last night was a lot of technical glitches. So I'm doing it again today. As soon as we're done, it's like, I've done some tech work today to try to figure it all out. So
I was actually watching from the UK. I was watching it last night. And of course, my background, I was a sound engineer on the cruise ships in America, based in New York.
You should have been here. Why weren't you here?
I was a stage man, a sound engineer. And I was sitting, I was going, oh, Lisa. And I would have loved to have just said, I'll tell you what, Lisa, let me help you in that.
Please, I'll take it. You know, I'm like the piano player, I'm the arranger, I'm the singer, I'm the songwriter, I'm the, you know, the audio engineer, I'm the tech engineer, I'm the, you know, technical, and the chief cook and bottle washer. So it's, you know, get everything done.
But what a great experience, though. Well, Lisa, I'm going to bring you back to the studio just for a moment, because if we understand correctly, you have a prized possession that's hanging in your studio. Apparently, it's a thank you note from a rather well-known composing duo for an arrangement that you recorded. Would you shed a little light on that story for us?
You guys are awesome. You really do your homework, don't you?
Yes, we do.
So I recorded another album at Capitol Studios in Hollywood, the big round Capitol Tower Records building.
Yep.
And I was in the same studio, Studio A, as Mr. Sinatra. And I always wanted to do that. And I would drive by, when I was in grad school, I'd drive by that building and I'm like, I wonder what's in there, because I knew all this great music came out of there. So I got the gumption up and I went in and recorded, and I recorded 5 songs that he recorded in the same studio. And they put his microphone in front of my face. I didn't know I was going to sing in Frank's, you know, vintage microphone. So I was in the middle of the session, and you know, I hired a trio that came in and I rehearsed them. And Steve Jenowick was behind the board. He's great. Al Schmidt's protege. Al passed away. We miss him terribly. And Steve is carrying on. It was an amazing experience walking in there. It's really intimidating. Then I just start focusing on the music and focusing on the charts. You know, once I saw the piano, I'm like, that's my home. I'm going there. I'm in Studio A. I've got, you know. So I went and I sat down and we started to roll. And then Steve came out and put the mic in front of my face and said, "This is Frank's mic." And I went, and it took my breath away. So in that session, I wanted to do 5 songs that Frank recorded in the same studio. One of them was Sleep Warm, which is a beautiful song written by Alan and Marilyn Bergman. So, so they heard it. I know they heard that CD because I got this beautiful note from them that said, "Dear Lisa, thank you for singing our song so beautifully." And I was so touched that you know, they heard it and they liked it, and that I aptly honored their, you know, composition and their lyrics. I mean, they're amazing lyricists. So yeah, so I had that framed, and I actually found a 45 with the Capitol logo on it and took it to the frame shop, and they put their note and the 45 in a you know, drop little picture box that I have hung in my studio. So gosh, you guys, that's amazing that you picked that up.
Well,
thank you.
now you've got to get that magic mic now. You got to find some way to get that microphone.
Well, the way to get the microphone is to go back and record again at Capitol, and which is, I want to do that. I want to do more. I have like 5 more CDs I want to do right now.
Well,
Okay.
you need to ask for that microphone when you do.
Oh yeah, I think they'll give it to me. And it was so magical because, I mean, after realizing that Frank and Paul McCartney and Sting and Michael Bublé, all these people had sung in it, it really, I said to Steve Genowick, the engineer, I said, I feel like this mic follows me whenever I'm, it's like following me around. And he said, it's just giving back to, it's just giving back what you put in there. I mean, it's been worked on. It's a beautiful Neumann. Oh my goodness. It's just a beautiful, luscious, yummy microphone. So yeah, I got to do that for sure again.
Now, talking about future projects and things coming out, there have been a few that have drawn a comparison between yourself and the wonderful Diana Krall. All right. Have you ever thought of doing a duet album with her?
I'd love to. That would be so much fun. I would love to. I'm a huge fan of hers. And people have said that over the years. You sound just like Diana Krall. And I think before, her music started hitting so hard, I think that we had the same agent in Los Angeles for a while. If I ever get an opportunity to meet her, I'll certainly ask her that. But, I would love to do that. That would be a blast. That would be a blast.
Well, Lisa, you've also been tagged as a protege of the late great pianist and showman, definitely a showman, the legendary Liberace, with whom I believe you performed with a couple of times at the Radio City Music Hall. Tell us a little bit about performing, or at least being with Liberace.
That was a thrilling gig. It was a month in New York City, and we had 2 shows a day. And no, I'm sorry, we had 1 show a day, 2 shows on the weekend, matinee. On the weekends we had matinees. So he was just humble and wonderful. And they called me and asked me if I could play Slaughter on 10th Avenue. I said, of course I can. I'd never played it before, but it was like this little brat. I said, of course, I can do that. So I went and they said, go learn it. I said, okay, but I had so many gigs at the time that I just didn't sit down. Anyway, I ended up playing it for him. He loved it. I learned the whole 14-page piece. And after 6 bars, he hired me. And I thought, why did I, learn that whole piece? But we ended up playing that piece, and it was just fabulous. It was exciting. And I remember being in my dressing room, and the whole crew loved him. They would bring us blueberry pies and things in our dressing room. And they said, we don't do this for anybody except him because he's so wonderful to us. So I remember looking out the window, and there was a line around the building, and I thought, what is that for? And it was to get into our show. We broke every record ever set at Radio City Music Hall. We were sold out for 27 or 30 shows, something like that. It was fabulous.
Wonderful. Now, again, we're going to surprise you now, because our research team, they are good. I tell you what.
I'm saying, goodness gracious.
Well, the thing is, we say they're good, but we've got to be careful because they'll ask for a pay rise otherwise. Anyway, but the number 1 Billboard smooth jazz artist, Lisa, is a pianist, vocalist, composer, beautiful singer, beautiful. So whose music is currently heard all over the entire world? You deliver a colorful mosaic of cool, smooth jazz grooves on your new album, Listen to This. However, we found out that in your spare time, you're an avid golfer, and you qualified as a boat captain. And you love island life, which includes the lifeguard. I'll tell you what, if ever I'm drowning, you can rescue me. There's no problem.
I will. I could.
You can drag me out and go, right, come into my studio and sort it all out. Your favorite activities is jet skiing in the blue waters of the Bahamas. We've got to know more about this.
Well, okay. So yes, I was a lifeguard. I taught kids how to swim when I was in high school and college, and that was a real treat. I'm not a great swimmer, but I'm not like a big distance swimmer. I'm a good runner, track and field. I did a lot of that. But to be qualified as a boat captain, I don't have like a boat captain's license because I don't do like, 100,000 ton ships. But yes, I'm a boater, and I love golf, and I just can't wait to get out and do anything outdoors. It's lovely. And in the Bahamas, both of your shirts go perfect in the Bahamas. And and we used to, go out and anchor, and then I drop the jet ski, and just the water is so beautiful and blue. And I go out in the middle of the ocean, just turn the engine off and just watch. And you'd see, you can see starfish on the bottom, and you see manta rays go by underneath the water. And it's just, you know, nature is just, it just opens the door, like it just opens my heart. And I get so grateful for all the wonderful things that sometimes we're rushing so fast we don't get to see. So.
Beautiful. Well, I can tell you that because I spent 5 years on the cruise ships, and we used to go to the Bahamas. And when we went to the Bahamas, Nassau, and I used to go straight up one of the streets to the Green Shutters, it used to be called. And it was a British pub owned by a British couple. And all the British entertainers used to go straight up there, straight into the Green Shutters. And we used to have a pint of English beer and a steak and kidney pie, just have a taste of England. And it was, and then years later, when I took my wife and my kids, I said, got to take you there. And it's all been closed down. It's all gone.
Oh, too bad. Oh, I love it there. And Nassau is beautiful. And it's very, I would go further out to the out islands, east of Nassau and south.
Absolutely.
And it's kind of nothing. Yeah.
Yeah.
They don't even have like a, you know, a Target. They don't have a convenience store. So
Right.
out in the middle of nowhere.
Well, to bring you back to the business side again, from the leisure side, as Roger would say, Don Was, who is the president of Blue Note Records, said, and I'm quoting, he said, like a current project, he said, Lisa did a great job on her new album. It fits in really well with the most successful albums in the smooth jazz field. My compliments. Now that is a pretty darn good acknowledgement of your project. But if you would, and we touched on it a little bit, tell us, and we know you're a prolific composer, but tell us how you chose the tracks for your wonderful project.
I think, well, there was one I scratched because I didn't like the way it was turning out. I mean, I would start to write a song and I would have ideas and, you know, I just have fistfuls of songs that I would send to Niels and stuff I would listen to, like Stay With Me Tonight, my current single that we just released maybe like 3 weeks ago. I mean, I wrote that such a long time ago and probably like 4 years ago, maybe 5. And I always kind of liked it, and I would see it on my desktop or see it in my, you know, in my list of songs, and I would play it and I'd say, and then I would make a change. So it was a very, you know, organic, slow, natural process. So when I got to the point where I liked something, then I would bring it to Niels. So picking the songs was, when I get to the point, I think, where I thought, I like this. Let's see what it would sound like with all the sidemen that, you know, Niels brought to the project. And it turned out that I liked him, but there was one song I scratched. So I'm still listening to that and thinking, maybe we should, you know, revisit for the next record. I don't know, but I've got so many other songs. So it's, you know, staying organized is one of the one of my big challenges with all my files. And yeah, so trying to keep straight on exactly what I'm working on is it's a fun endeavor. And I mean, like I said, what makes it really happen is the audiences and the listeners, the smooth jazz fans and all the music fans. And boy, I mean, my Christmas stuff is just off the charts. It's just off the charts. People are listening to Christmas all year long. I get notes all year long. So that makes me happy that, you know, it lets them, gives them a, you know, a feeling of hope and whatever it does for them. I've had doctors write me and say, we play your music in the operating room because it's so relaxing and we love it.
Right.
You know, I've heard you were, you know, you were our Christmas dinner music. And that's what what I've always wanted. I've always wanted to enrich people's lives aesthetically with the sense of sound, you know, because it means so much. When it's right, it can really add to our life experience, and we all want to have a good life experience. That's why we're here.
Well, and I think that also explains why. I mean, you really are capable of playing in so many different genres. I mean, in addition to Sirius XM, and I mean, all of your music can be found on lisaaddeo.com, but you're also on Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon Music, Pandora, iHeartRadio, YouTube, all the major digital retailers. And no matter the platform, Lisa, you have a wonderful library of recordings, as I said, across so many different genres that people, if you are bound to find a project that you enjoy. So I suggest you sample all of our offerings because you're going to find something you love. And that's the beautiful thing about your music. You can touch so many people because you play so many styles of music. So you're very inclusive as opposed to exclusive. And that's what I like about you.
Oh, good. That's a good way to look at it. I always wondered if that was a problem or, you know, a plus or a
No.
minus that I do so many genres. And there's a lot more music to come. So, you know, definitely stay tuned. I can't wait to get back out and start carving some stuff up again for my new project.
So whether you're seeking smooth jazz music, music from the Great American Songbook, piano instrumental music, Lisa offers, as we've already established, over 100 songs in every mood. Now, just before we wrap things up, we've already surprised you with our knowledge and all the rest of it. And
Definitely.
one thing I think we're now going to surprise Mr. G with now. And he doesn't know I'm going to say that.
Oh my
I think
gosh.
that's a good idea. I think it's a really
Because apparently on Saturday, it was Mr. G's birthday.
Oh, for
I've
God's
contacted
sakes.
Lisa and I said, would Lisa be kind enough to sing happy birthday to you?
Oh my gosh.
happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Mr. G. Happy birthday to you.
Oh my gosh.
Happy, happy. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear. Happy birthday to you.
Wow.
And many more.
That's amazing. Thank you, Lisa. That's
One
amazing.
surprise deserves another, right?
Well, I tell you what, that's going to be you're the Marilyn Monroe to my President Kennedy. How about that? Huh?
Perfect.
Although you look more like Marilyn than I look like President Kennedy, but nevertheless, thank you both so very much. That was an incredible surprise. I'm blushing.
Kevin, I got you on that one, I think. I do believe.
You did. I cannot wait to meet you in person, and I'm going to get even somehow.
There you go. I'll help.
We've never met. We've never met.
Really?
Have never
Face-to-face?
met.
Nope.
Nope,
Wow.
never.
Well, I didn't meet Niels for a year, but we were working together in cyberspace before we met face to face. So
Right.
The strange
Very
world we
good.
live in. Time, unfortunately, is not our friend at the moment. Time is running out. Lisa,
Aw.
I can't thank you enough for doing that wonderful rendition of Happy Birthday. That was beautiful.
Wow.
Fabulous. That will be on there. And Lisa, one last thing from yourself. Is there anything you want to say before the curtain comes down on this interview?
I want to say thank you thank you so much to both of you. It's such a pleasure to meet with you and talk with you, and thank you for wearing your Florida tropical shirts. And yeah, and if and when I get over there, I definitely want to meet you guys in person. We'll go out and have what did you call it? A pork? What is it? Pork? What is that thing?
Better than a steak and kidney pie. I think we could do better than that. But of course, I'm in the UK. Kevin's on the East Coast, Richmond, Virginia. So yes.
Oh.
So if ever you're in the UK at Ronnie Scott's, whatever, let me know. One, I will promote the show like mad for yourself and that.
Okay.
And also, I know Kevin plays the music on the Smooth Jazz Train out of Richmond, Virginia. I play your music on Jazz Moods on a Wednesday night out of the UK. So big fans. Lisa, cannot thank you enough. Sorry to have taken you off the golf course to join us today.
It's okay. It's raining. It's raining today. It's thunder and lightning, so we can't play golf today. So it's okay.
We are going to finish off with another track from this wonderful, brilliant album. Listen to this, and when you do listen to it, you'll go from track one right to the end. It is fabulous. And I was chatting to Kevin. We wanted to play a vocal track of yours from the album there, and it was very difficult to select one. And the one I think we went for was She Closed Her Eyes in Paris. I think it's a fabulous track, and it just shows you at your true talented best. It's a beautiful track. Ladies and gentlemen, followers of Jazz Across the Pond, Jazz Interviews Reimagined. Thank you so much. We have another interview again next week. But meanwhile, Lisa, thank you so much from Kevin and myself.
My pleasure, my honor. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.
Say goodnight, Kevin.
Good night, Kevin.
Good night,
And
Kevin.
it's good
Happy
night
birthday.
from him. From everybody here,
you.
just across the pond. Take care, look after yourself, and stay safe. Good night.